keep our cool. Because history forces us, first of all, to question very rigorously your source. What is your source? You're on the internet. You get some kind. We are very emotionalized by all news, especially all of us who have been living last a couple of years. We are very emotionalized. But if you take emotion out of the information, you deal with the situation. You deal with bare facts. And that's what I'm selling. That's what I believe is super useful for future clergy. So wait a minute, is it really what happened? So can you basically rephrase it? Can you say it differently? Can you, maybe there is not the end of the world, but if the end of the world, we are going to die all anyway. That's a fact. So maybe you really should not basically overestimate. And then one of the things that I guess the only thing I want for Christmas is that we would listen to each other, that we finally have conversation going in Jordanville, because people often, they speak in statements. Very few people ask questions. Sometimes, because maybe it's a monastery or whatever, sometimes people, they would just state you, that's how it is. And if you see it differently, you have hard time to discuss. So we really need to learn how to discuss, how to talk, and not to be scandalized, because at the end of the day, everyone would be responsible for herself, for himself. And I mean, yes, maybe the person profoundly wrong, maybe it's very clear, but at the same time, we still should be civilized, we still should be respectful, and we still should be able to persuade, tracing, if I'm a historian, so I know that I am fallible. I know that I only do something as a craftsman. I know that in view of the God, it's very, very little, it's very insignificant. But when you talk to me, trace my argument, show me when I'm wrong. So with this in mind, I have a very little tolerance for triumphalism. But I was listening to my colleague, and I thought, well, actually, maybe it's not too bad. So, maybe it's not too bad. Another thing that I would like to thank our Vladika Metropolitan. In his recent interview, he giving to the newspaper, I saw a bunch of those newspapers lying there. Hope it's respectful to call it newspaper. When I actually was involved with ideology for 10 years, Pravoslavnaya Rus, if I would call it newspaper, older people like HT Seminary, they would say, no, don't call Pravoslavnaya Rus newspaper, it's a journal. So I hope it's okay to call the Ruskaya this way. So Vladika said was talking about the significance of the seminary, and he said, it is worth mentioning that among the numerous graduates, there are and always have been many teachers, scholars, specialists, regents, readers, singers, church wardens, and other figures who have benefited the Church of Christ. So thank you, Vladika, for mentioning this, because it's not like conversation between Stalin, when Stalin was talking about Pope of Rome, he asked, how many tank divisions does the Pope of Rome have? So, and it's often how many priests Jordan will produce. I learned from Vladika's interview that there are about 300 priests. But significance is much bigger, impact is much bigger. So it cannot be just basically head counted by the number of priests, which is of course is still the major goal of this place. So back to this picture, we see here Bishop Iona. He's a vicar of his Beatitude Metropolitan of Kiev and Ukraine, Anufri, and we see that he attentively listens to this dear parishioner of his. We do see this. I think it's very clear. But it's very, I don't know, maybe basically she just look at him and he look at her. It also can be interpreted in various ways. So, but that's actually, it moves us towards the end of my presentation. For 15 years I've been running this website, Historical Studies of the Russian Church Abroad. There are leaflets about my work at the back of this hall, so please help yourself to take them, to see, to read. And if there is one proper Orthodox Christian mantra, it would say contextualize, contextualize, contextualize. Because, I mean, we say, and Father John was talking about Holy Scripture, about important seeing it in context, and history also teaches this. And history teaches one not to be scandalized without cause, which I believe is very useful for a clergyman. And I hope I was able to explain why history means a lot to me without scandalizing you. Thank you very much for your attention.